Nana Akomea eba NPP wana ekasa na wankasa so tia ho se mudom mu pi mu akono wotimi nka eyi Nana Akomea MFM nene wa ma John Dramani Mahama se de wasi asane egu no so nya asemtoa anka tetene be kaso de apia egu no nsom de adware apia pa bo se ho nyina gba pa ho dwawo ensem ode atudwa na cha apia afa John Dramani Mahama na ni nyina ye se de okan sem ahodo no ba abamuo emre tiawem ni atete de ehu ne yade akenkan na che se ye wukrompo ne ebesoa na eno so dan chan kura no a wasai akyere the position now NPP enche omko yi mpanifo awodo kodada ne mani se won ma hwe gu anu asese ne foforo na Nana Akomea asi ginaye akyere set the record straight ba bia ene all be contesting position our the new patriotic party was no go kwama nyukum abusha etie musem na ede apia ene ode agu John Dramani Mahama ho ye go tie musem.
Another said, one of them said Nana Akomea for chairman of the NPP. Is this something that you want to get into? Would you want to take up a national executive position within the NPP?
Well, we just have to wait for the report of the investigation to come in. And that should then guide our way forward for the party. So for me personally, that's just what I'm doing. I'm waiting for the work to be done, the causes of the disaffection to be identified, and then from there we will start reorganizing our party, and this kind of possibilities will then be considered at that stage.
Did the current leadership of the party do well?
Under the circumstances, you know, when the party is in power, the gravity is with the executive, you know, and the executive, the party leadership has to play a supportive role. That what determines the party's fortunes is really the executive. So under the circumstances, we had a young, vibrant general secretary. The chairman wasn't the kind of activist chairman that we have seen with some of the past chairmen like Roberto Vilante of blessed memory. Peter Alajete, naturally, and so the chairman this time was reserved, but he had a lot of respect, and he always liked to take decisions collectively within the National Executive Committee, the National Council, and so on.
Did that take something away? Because some people have made commentary that because of his perhaps working behind the scenes nature or laid back nature, not being at the forefront all the time, it may have been one of the reasons why the NPP.
We would have to find out from the investigation. My concern is that the investigation, the method that they use in the investigation they've been asked to do, that the method is of such a nature that it will bring out the true worries of the people who didn't vote, who didn't go to the polling station to vote for the party. When we are able to achieve that, it will show us the way forward. And if it talks about the role of the chairman, then of course we'll factor it. So it is still a bit too early to be definite.
But what's the way forward for the NPP? In the aftermath of all of this. Some are even saying that already there is judgment for who will come again. In the next election, the Kennedy Japan rivalry has started and all of that. Is all of that helpful for the
even that's normal with political party politicking. Even in the NDC, don't you hear stories about who's coming in 2028? So that kind of news is always exciting, and new news people will feed on it, and they'll get some story. And this is also true about this, because people are excited by it. So that is normal. But we just, the party is in a state of expectation. Normally, every 4 years, both big parties, NPP and DC, every 4 years, they get a chance to reorganize through elections to bring in new people from the ground polling station level. The NDC, they call them DS branch, we call it polling station, right up to national and the flag bearer. So every 4 years, both parties get a chance to reorganize. So whatever the resource has been, whether we won or lost, we're going to get a chance to reorganize from the ground up. But now that we lost on this scale, we want to find out why the people stayed away, to see if we can take lessons in the reorganization of the party. So we are in a state of expectation as I speak, and much of the things that we will do going forward will depend on the kind of results that come from the investigation, the Michael Corey committee.
All right, but how do you see the Mahama administration so far? Has he started well? Quite a number of things have been done. He made some promises to fulfill within the first, 120 days. They did. I think they did a mini launch, tracking some of the promises that he made, and according to some of the actions that you've seen, he's done quite a number of the things that he said he was going to do, and we're still counting the days. CEOs have been appointed, ministers have been appointed. There's talk of oral. A whole lot was going on. What are your views of how John Mahama has been governing so far?
Well, it's a mixed bag. It's a mixed bag. What I'm happy about is that there's a 120-day pledge. So all of us can follow what is in that 120-day pledge and see how much you would achieve. In 120 is how many months? 4 months. So that is January, February, March, April. At the end of April, we'll have this conversation, and then we can actually mark, because he actually stated what he would do in the 120 days. So there's a clear marking scheme that all of us are going to use. But so far, there have been good success with the appointments. As far as I can remember, this is probably the fastest appointment window, because he's managed to do that in 2 weeks. Just about 2 weeks.
I mean, he said he was going to do it in 2 weeks.
Yes, and it looks like it's fairly been achieved. The cabinet is in place, save 1 or 2 positions. Many of the CEOs are in place. Like I said today, I handed over to my successor and all of that. So that one has been good. Many of the other things that we've seen that are catching the headlines, they've been a mixed bag. I mean, you take the terminations of the appointments. Now, if you are going to reset the country, like you said, the way these terminations are, how is that a reset? You remember when Mahama was, the last time he was president, in 2016, he made key appointments 1 week before he left office. I'm talking of appointments to constitutional bodies, like Auditor General. That's a major appointment. The shrug boss. I mean, that vacancy had been there for a year. He made the appointment about a week before he left office, but that vacancy had been there for a year. He increase the allowances by 60% and so. I mean, there was protest that how do you make these appointments 1 week before you leave? And he justified it. He said he was still president and that as far as he's concerned, these appointments are in the national interest. And when the NPP came into office, took over in 2017, and there was some removals, some terminations.
Yeah.
I'm trying to see.
There were some terminations with the NPP.
There were some removals. Yes, some removals. Yes. This is what Mahama said. It's bad precedent for our governance. Mass sacking of workers by the NPP government is unacceptable. #One Ghana, one people. And he made a second one, all on X. These workers, John Mahama said, these workers are all citizens and like all Ghanaians have rights which must be protected. So 2016 you made appointments into very, very high offices of state and a lot of other appointments. Some of these appointments were terminated by the government that came 1 week after. And you said that the terminations are bad. So when you come back and you say you are going to reset, I don't expect you to be doing the same things that you had condemned.
But the warnings were given during the transition. I mean, you are making all of these recruitments, which, as a transition team, they felt that they are not comfortable about, and something that was talked about. But the government still went ahead and did all of these recruitments.
You sit here.
They had warned that. If the government did, they would revoke it.
You sit here every day and you speak to them. I imagine, because that's your job. Have they told you how many appointments have been made after 7th December? Where? Which organization? How many people? That if you say Gapoha, from 8th to 20th or 31st December.
They talk about appointments that have been made after 7th December, because after 7th December the NPP knew
I'm saying
the election.
I'm saying, have they told you?
All of those, recruitments that were made after 7th December is something which should not have been done. That's what we are looking at.
And I'm saying to you, because you speak to them every day, have they told you which appointments at which organization have been made after 7th December? Have they told you? Have they? Now, like I'm saying, they made appointments after 7th December when they lost power, and they not just some middle level, lower level appointments. The appointments included appointments to constitutional bodies. They made those appointments a week before they left office, and the several lower level appointments. And they said that they were still in office, they still had executive power, and what the appointments were in the national interest. So when you now have a chance, and then when some of these appointments were terminated, you speak against it. Now you say I'm going to reset, put the country on a different path, and then you are doing the same evil things. And even though the letter that they issued said after 7th December, a lot of these terminations are being done to people who were employed before December. You saw the letter from the Ghana Water Company.
Well, the Ghana Water Company said they have the capacity.
So
they said they didn't have the capacity, and in spite of protesting, still a lot of people were brought on board.
Before 7th December.
Yes.
But the directive said after 7th December. How do you justify it? Today I read somewhere, there's Ghana Exim or something, made to appointments, I don't know if it's true, but I read that appointments that were made in September, they said, but the directive, as bad as it is, said after after 7th December. Isn't that what the directive said? So why are people being removed even though they were appointed before 7th December? Is this the reset? You know, you look at the aura, the operation. I mean, everybody is interested in fighting corruption.
Yeah.
I don't know who can say that they are not interested in fighting corruption. So this oral came, said, we're going to recover all.
Yes, we should recover all loot.
But look at,
and there's another one, OPA, Operation Prevent All Loot.
But look at what has happened. Now, people are saying, not NPP, the civil society is saying, is it oral, what is it? OCA, cover all loot also. Huh?
But what is wrong with the aura? I mean, what is wrong with the aura? And what is the problem that the NPP has with the aura?
Like I say,
the NPP are afraid that things have been done under the cover of darkness and they are going to be exposed, and so there is no resistance.
There is no NPP person who is opposed to the principle of fighting corruption or recovering the fruits of corruption. Nobody has been against the principle. In fact, it has to be a cardinal principle of any government. It is the way, the method that they have issues. It seems quite clearly that it's a partisan. They say you're going to recover all loot. You take what they call the state capture, the lands.
Yes.
So, is it possible that since 1999, when this policy of giving out state lands, is it possible that since 1999, no NDC member has been given state land? So, if there's going to be investigation, I mean, you saw the vetting. Quite a few ministers admitted that they benefited from state lands, isn't it? You saw the vetting. At least I remember 2 of them. So, if you're going to look at the alienation of state land, do it comprehensively. When you limit it to just a narrow period, the last 5 years or so, then you have partisaned the fight against corruption. I can't imagine. They said they looked at 236 cases and they shortlisted 36 and presented a report on 36. So is it possible that none of them involve any NDC person? And then you look at even the language in the report. Mind you, one of the key members of the aura, the committee, Developmental, who's quite a respected former Auditor General.
Yes.
He has said that many of the findings, findings in the report have to be audited. That's what he has said. But you look at the language in the report, clearly partisan, and they use headings like Bahumia's aid has grabbed land. The Bahumia's aid, he hasn't got a name. And the president's daughter has grabbed land. President Kufado's niece. So you look at even the language in the report, clearly partisan.
All of this matter because the president has said, okay, well, I mean, and some of the members of ORA have also said, well, it's not everything. Some of them are hearsay, some of them don't really have any evidential value and all of that, but they've got all that information. And they've put together reports. And the president says the appropriate state agencies or investigative bodies will look at it, look at the merits, and then where they need to take action, they take action. Where there isn't enough evidence, they let it go. So should it really be a problem?
Because you can't fight corruption when you make it a partisan fight. You see.
But the president has also said, I mean, his own people are not going to be immune or shielded, and so they should also be aware.
This is not the first time NDC is in office. They were in office as recently as 2016. So it's not like 100 years ago. So if you're going to look at, say, the alienation of state lands, and you pretend that it's only NPP people who got state lands, then you are not being fair to your own work. You've partisaned it. And if you think you make progress when you don't do an objective work, you're not going to make much progress.
So how should it have been done?
Do a holistic work. Because you say you're going to recover all, all, not some. If there's looting, it has to be recovered, and you want to recover all. But what they are doing is like, we're going to try to recover some. And a key member says that, look, many of these findings, we have to subject them to audit. But then you look at the language.
Yes, so people have already been faced. Is that not a good thing if it says we have to subject it to audit?
Yeah, but when you look at the report,
showing that, well, I mean, they are not just going to go with any rumor that somebody has told us.
But you look at the report, the language itself, Kufado's daughter, as if the person is not a person in their own right. Kufado's niece, Baumia's aide, Baumia's brother, Baumia's this. Here's a case where you yourself, you are saying that these things have to be subject to audit. And mind you, these things will have to go to court if that's what it should be.
Yeah.
So when you present your report in this way, where you stigmatize people and you narrow the period, then it becomes like a witch hunt.